Canto 9. The outward color cowardice painted me when I beheld my leader turning back, repressed his own new pallor more hurriedly. He paused with an attentive air, but like one listening, not watching, for the eye saw little in air so dark and fog so thick. "We have to win this battle," he started to say, "or else, and she who offered so much aid, late though it seems to be, and still on the way." I could see plainly how he strove to hide his sentence, is beginning with its close, in different words from those he would have said, scaring me nonetheless, each broken phrase leading me to a meaning perhaps much worse than any it held. Does anyone whose place is the first circle, where the only curse is having no hope, ever come down so far as this grim hollow? I asked him. Such a course, he said, is rare among us, though once before I have been down here, beckoned as a shade by wicked Rickthrow, the conjurer, who used to summon spirits of the dead back to their bodies. My own flesh was but still a little while denuded of my shade. The time she made me enter within this wall to draw a spirit from the circle of Judas, which is the lowest and darkest place of all, and farthest from the heaven whose dome encloses everything in creation. I know the way, be sure of that. This quagmire, which produces so strong a stench, surrounds the city of woe. We cannot enter now except with wrath. And he said more that I don't remember now. My eyes were on the tower we stood beneath, for at its glowing top 3 hellish furies suddenly appeared, like women, but with a wreath of bright green hydras girdled about their bodies, blood-stained, with squirming vipers in a crown, fringing their savage temples. The fierce Erinyes, he said, who knew those handmaids of the Queen of Eternal Sorrows. Megara on the left, Alecto howls on the right, and in between Tisiphone. Each one was clawing her breast, and each was beating herself, and screamed so loud I pressed against him, flinching at the blast. "Oh, let Medusa come," the Furies bade, as they looked down, "to make him stone. We grieved, not avenging the assault of Theseus." He said, "Turn your back, close your eyes. Should Gorgon arrive and show herself, then if you looked at her, there would be no returning back above." He turned me around himself, and to make sure, not trusting mine alone, he covered my face with his hands too. O you whose mind is clear, understand well the lesson that underlies the veil of these strange verses I have written. Across the turbid waves now came the noise of a fearsome crash, by which both shores were shaken, a sound like that of a wind that gathers force from waves of heat in violent collision, and batters the forest, and on its unchecked course shatters the branches and tears them to the ground, and sweeps them off in dust clouds with scornful roars. And the wild beasts and shepherds flee at the sound. Taking his hands from my eyes, he said, "Now look, there where the very harshest fumes abound across the ancient scum. As frogs are quick to vanish through water and hunch on bottom sand as soon as they see their enemy the snake, so I saw more than 1,000 souls of the ruined flee before one who strode across the Styx, dry-shod as though on land. With his left hand he cleared the polluted air before his face, and only in that annoyance did he seem tired. I knew assuredly he was sent to us from heaven, and I turned my head to regard the master, who signaled that I should be mute and bow before him. Ah, to me he appeared so full of high disdain. He went to the gate and opened it by means of a little wand, and there was no resistance. O race cast out from heaven, exiles despised there, he intoned from that grim threshold. Why this insolence? Why do you kick against that will whose end cannot be thwarted, and whose punishments many times over have increased your pain? What use to butt at what the fates dispense? Remember your Cerberus, throat and chin, for just this reason still are stripped of fur. Then he turned back on the filthy path again, not speaking a word to us, but with the air of one whom other matters must concern than those who stand before him. And so, secure after those holy words, we in our turn stepped forward toward the city and through the gate, entering without dispute, anxious to learn what their condition was who populate a fortress so guarded. I cast my eye around as soon as I was in, and saw a great plain filled with woe and torment, as on the land at Arles, where the river Rhone grows more subdued, or at Pola, where the Quernero sets a bound for Italy, bathing her borders on every side. The ground is made uneven by the tombs. So it was here, but these were of a mode more bitter, for among the graves were flames that made the sepulchres glow with fiercer heat than a smith could need. Among these catacombs the lids were raised, with sounds of woe so great, those within surely suffered horrible pain. Master, I said, who are these people that are shut in-sepulchred within these coffers of stone, making their sounds of anguish from inside? He answered, Here arch-heretics lie, and groan along with all the converts that they made, the followers of every sect, with like entombed with like. A greater multitude crowds into these graves than you may think they take. Some sepulchres grow hotter and some less. He turned to the right, and we continued to walk between the anguish and the high parapets.